Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to the second video in a series as we're working through the K2 room on TryHackMe. This is rated as a hard machine. Now, if you missed the first video, make sure you go back and watch it because all the machines are connected. The information we got from the first machine is what we need in order to begin the second machine. Now, in the first machine, we did some web app pen testing, some SQL injection, some Linux privilege escalation, and we were able to get some information out of it, and we were able to fully root the machine. But now we are moving into the middle camp. And this is the second video. We're going to do a detailed walkthrough of middle camp, which is going to show off some Active Directory and Windows attacks. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. We can close out some of our stuff from our last stream, and I went ahead and started this server. So we have our K2 Win Server version 1.4, and it says the IT team just cannot believe that we made it past the first server. However, they feel confident that you won't make it much further. Use all the information gathered from your previous findings in order to keep making your way to the top. So we have a user flag, the usernames on the server, the root flag, and the admin's NTLM hash. Well, first, let's just see what is running. So we'll grab our IP here. We'll go over to this, and we can do, let's add it to Etsy hosts, I suppose. Let's just change k2.thm to this IP. Maybe that's going to be easiest. So we'll do nano Etsy hosts. Here's our k2.thm, and we'll just update the IP like so, and we'll do nmap, scan all the ports at k2.thm t5-pn to ignore host discovery-v for verbose mode. And right away, you can see that this is likely going to be a Windows machine. Now, the reason I say that is we have port 3389, which is remote desktop policy. We have 445, 135, and 139 all have stuff to do with SMB. We have 53 for DNS. So likely a Windows machine that is running here. And let me show you guys RustScan. So you can, of course, use Nmap. I enjoy RustScan, and I'll show you why. And I'll even show you how to install it because I don't have it on this machine. So we'll type RustScan GitHub. Head on over to it. Go to our releases. It's super easy to install, and grab our linux.zip right here. We downloaded it, and we'll CD over to our downloads, unzip RustScan like so, echo out our path to see what our path is, and we're going to CD into temp RustScan, and there it is. And we'll do sudo move RustScan over to user local bin like so. And now we should have it installed. Beautiful. Now what I like about RustScan is we can do RustScan-A, and then we can pass it k2.thm. But then what we do is it will say, hey, any ports that are open, scan those ports with nmap. So we can do that with this --, and then the flag we want to run with nmap is -A for all the enumeration skips, -pn to ignore host discovery, and we'll hit enter, and you can see right away it's going to run through here, and whoops, if you scroll on your mouse it does that, but it's going to discover some of these ports. It might take a little bit, so I'm going to fast forward it a little bit. So it goes, I'm going to pretend like it worked, and we'll just hit a few of these ports. So we can do nmap-p, and we'll do like some of the common ones like 135, 139, 445, 3389-A to enumerate those scripts, k2.thm, pn-v. So pn is ignore host discovery. Often on Windows, if the firewall is turned on, it will ignore pings. So then nmap just won't work. It'll look like the host is down. And -v is just verbose mode because I like to see that it's working. So we will run that and see what information we're able to get out of it. You can see we don't have a web server, so we're going to be doing strictly Active Directory type attacks. We're not doing any web app exploitation for this machine since there's no web server running, at least one that is externally facing. We also have to keep in mind it says to use the information we already discovered. So it might be helpful to kind of break up our information. So we can say, like, for passwords, we have these passwords. I'm just going to add them all into one list so it's easier to see them. For any type of password spraying we're going to want to do, we'll drop our passwords in here. And then we have this Rosebud and James Bold for full names. I'm going to copy that and open in a new terminal, nano passwords.txt, paste it, nope, .text like so, paste it in, save it, and we have our passwords, and we can also do like nano users.txt. And who do we have for users? We have James and Rose, so we can do James, Rose. We also have Rosebud, right, and James Bold is their full names, like so. Jump over to InMap, and you can see it is done, at least the things that we checked out. And here is something that's helpful to us. We can see the SSL cert for the machine that we are attacking is k2 server.k2.thm. Because we know that, we'll want to add that to Etsy host because it could break some of our scans and some of our attacks if it's not in there. So let's go ahead and copy this. And we'll do sudo nano Etsy host again. And we'll just add it onto our list. Like so. Oh, not find. Nope, it's not what I'm trying to do. All right, ping k2 server.k2.thm. Beautiful. All right, well, let's get into some Active Directory exploitation. Now, one of the first things you want to do when it comes to Active Directory is you want to figure out if we can get some valid users. And we have kind of a hint in this. It says use all the information gathered from your previous findings in order to keep making your way to the top. So one of the first things we might want to do is some username enumeration, and there's different tools you can do with that. But first we need to make a list of some possible user accounts. And here's what I mean by that. If we cat out our users right now, we have Rosebud and James Bold, and we want to figure out like what are some possible usernames for them. So for example, where I've worked places, it's often first name dot last name. So it might be rose.bud. We've also seen like first initial last name. I've also seen last name dot first initial like that. I've also seen just rose like that. And those are some of the most common usernames we might discover. We can do the same thing for James. So do james.bold, j.bold, bold.j, just James, right? So those are some possible usernames we have. Nothing else would be different. That covers, I think, most of it. And I think it's kind of a good starting point. There's also some tools that can make different usernames for you based on names, but I think we can do it manually with our two users and see if that gets us anywhere. So we'll just call this like possible AD users .text, and we'll paste that in. Now, one tool that I don't even have on here, I'm pretty sure, is Kerbrute. This is a tool to perform brute force and enumerate valid AD accounts through Kerberos pre-authentication. Grab the latest binaries from the releases page to get started. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll grab this one. There we go. CP from, geez, down. Can't type, y'all. We'll do that. I'm just going to move it. I just want to change it to just Kerbrute, and then we'll make it executable and the help command. Beautiful. Oh, the new pirate room keeps me awake, looking for the unintended. I don't know what the unintended is. Like the intended way, I enjoyed that machine. Like, it wasn't, you know, a realistic what you'd see in the real world, but still fun Python scripting type stuff. Oh yeah, username anarchy is an example. Let me grab that. Thank you for dropping that link. So if you wanted to do that automatically, username anarchy is one of those that I believe accepts just the names, and it will create a bunch of common names and it will spit them out for you. You can see it right here. So this would be one tool. If we had a bunch of usernames, this is how I would do it. But since we just had the two, it's easy enough to do it manually. But when we run Kerbrute, you can see our available commands. We can brute force the username and password. We can brute user, a single user's password. We can do help, password spray, user enum, which sounds like what we want to do right here. Enumerate valid domain usernames via Kerberos. So let's give that a shot. If we do user enum, we can do another help command to see how to use it. And it says Kerberos user enum, pass it the flags and the username wordless. So let's give it a shot. You will do user enum. Our flags that we need is we need a DC and a domain. So we could do DC of K2 server.k2.thm, our domain of k2.thm, and then we can pass it our username word list. And what did I call it? Possible AD users.text, hit enter. And we were able to find valid usernames. So we have valid usernames right there. We can add that to our sweet notes right here. Valid. And we'll just paste that in there. And we will also put it in a file. So we'll do nano confirmed users.text, rbud at k2.thm, and what was the other person? rbud and jbold, j.bold at k2.thm. Like so. I don't know if we need the k2.thm. I may actually have to take that off. I'm not entirely sure. All right, let me look at chat. I think I'm missing a few messages. Can you leave the stream live or make it private? Stream will remain live, so if you miss anything, feel free to come back and watch it. Tyler, have you heard any stories where using a third-party script had a backdoor to an attacker server? I actually made a video about that on a script on GitHub on a recent CVE that was actually installing a crypto miner. So you can check that out on my YouTube channel. I have a whole video where we kind of dissect this script that was public on GitHub with essentially a backdoor in it. Maybe we'll use netexec too if null auth is enabled. We could. We'll try that. Here from LinkedIn, love your content. Hey, thank you, Dreams.io. I appreciate the kind words. But here we go. We have some confirmed users. And remember, we also have some passwords from our previous thing. These 3 passwords. And if we look at the use case for Kerberoot, so Kerberoot-H, there was a password spray. We could test a single password against a list of users. We can brute force a user password combos, brute force a single user's password from a word list. Maybe we could do that. We can do brute user maybe, and just password spray all those passwords at each user since we have such a small list. So what's the H command for that? It says we need to pass it our flags and then our password list in a username. So let's just see if I do this right. Brute user. Our flags, we'll do our domain is k2 server dot k2.thm, I think. That'd be our DC. Can I just do domain? I don't think I need to do DC. Let's just try to do domain. That, our password list is we'll do passwords.text, and our username, who's our first user? Rbud. I don't think I need the at k2.thm. So let's try that. Okay. We do need the DC flag maybe. So do k2 server.k2.thm like so. And if I knew how to read the help page, it would take 2 dashes. There we go. Oh, and there we got it. We have a valid login for rbud via password spray. And let's go ahead and check our other user as well. Maybe there's some information for them, jbold. And jbold has nothing, but we do have a valid login here. So we will grab this information. We'll just grab the username and password right there and add it to our notes. Copy selection. Valid AD credentials. Could you also use a username and password list in crack map exec? You absolutely could. Yeah, the cool thing about AD is there's always multiple different ways to do basically the same attacks, but we have access now as this person. And one of the things I like to do before even like logging into the machine is we know it's Active Directory. So let's go ahead and get BloodHound set up and running. What BloodHound allows us to do is look at essentially different graphs and different attack vectors we might have access to in the Active Directory environment. We can actually run BloodHound Python from a Linux machine in order to get what's called all the loot from the remote machine. And once again, when it comes to BloodHound Python, I always forget the syntax. So like most things when I forget the syntax, I made a script for that. And you can get this on my GitHub. I showed it in video 1, but in my offensive security repo, we have an Active Directory file or folder. I'm going to make all of them executable. And one of these is this BloodHound script. And it's a very simple script. It's literally just because I forget syntax and it passes everything for me. And that's amazing. So let's run my BloodHound script. And it says our domain is going to be k2.thm. Our username is, of course, going to be the user, this one right here. Our password is going to be this, which I actually think we need to escape this exclamation mark. I might be wrong. We'll see if it breaks. Our IP of our domain is just the IP of the machine. And there we go. And there it failed. Amazing. So it may be I don't need to escape the password. All right, let's run that again. k2.thm. Our username of this guy. Our password without escaping it. Our IP of our domain right there. Fingers crossed. Yes, we got it. Do you recommend your approach to this machine to be applied into a real-world AD, obviously with authorization? Yeah, absolutely. This would be a good way to approach a real-world AD. Often, when you're doing an AD pen test, you are given, it's an assumed breach scenario, so you might actually be given AD creds, but the one thing you want to be careful for in a real environment is password lockouts. So before you do password spraying with CrackMap exec or another tool, you want to make sure you check the password policy, because a really good way to have a terrible day as a pen tester is to lock out thousands of users on the customer's AD network because you got too crazy with password spraying. Another helpful thing to do is if you're trying to attack local accounts, to make sure you put the tag -- local when you're brute forcing things with like NetExec or CrackMap exec, whatever you want to call it, and that'll help some of that. But you do want to be very careful about password lockout in the real world. Yeah, that's exactly what Joseph just said on LinkedIn. I've done that before, not in the real world, but I think it was the Red Team Capstone or another AD network where I did that very thing. I like YOLO sprayed and locked all the accounts and had to reset the machine. A lot easier to reset a CTF machine, a lot more difficult to reset a real world Active Directory environment. But we were able to get our loot here. LS, we can see all of our loot right here. I don't know why I did it in my Active Directory folder, but YOLO. We'll go ahead and go with it. Now we want to go ahead and get BloodHound started up. If we go over to Handy Danny Google and we type BloodHound Community Edition, the documentation for BloodHound is really well done. There's just like one command we need to run, if my memory serves me correct, with a Docker compose. And here it is. We can run this command. Docker compose. Oh, I don't have it installed. Go ahead and install it real quick. Take a drink of water. For some reason, I was thinking Docker Compose is automatically on Kali, but apparently it's not. Okay. There we go. And now we can run our command, but Docker Compose and Kali is like that. And I don't think I'm in the Docker group, so I need to sudo that command. The rest of it looks fine to me, though. And now what it's going to do is it's going to get Neo4j, the database, launched up for us, as well as get BloodHound running. Now, in the past, this process used to be a lot more complex, a lot more difficult. You had to manually start the Neo4j database, then start BloodHound, hope everything connected. And I, once again, like most things, always screwed up the syntax. So when they switched all of it to Docker, it made me so happy that I can literally run one command and it spins up BloodHound for me. Doesn't Tyler have a Discord? Tyler does have a Discord. If you go to hacksmarter.org you can get all the information here. There's the invite to our Discord. I'll drop the link here. But yes, come join the Discord. We have active study groups for TCMsters, for the OSCP. We have weekly goal meetings, and it's just a fun place. So come join the Discord. Come join the rest of us. Okay, it is almost done. I'm going to go ahead and rename this tab. We'll just call this BloodHound. And we'll open up a new tab, our terminal, and I want to back out to my K2 main directory. Come on, I believe in you. No! What? Oh, it's trying to bind to 8080 and I have Kaido open. Is Kaido still trying to listen? Whoops, we'll do okay, can I do like sudo kill -9? There we go. Just said a kill Kaido. And we have our initial password set right there. And if we go back over to our documentation, it is really helpful showing us what to do. We need to navigate to this in our browser. So we'll just do that. Okay, I think you guys saw me click copy on that, but apparently it didn't work. All right. There we go. Admin, and then that initial password that it sets to right here that you can see in the logs. We'll grab that. Drop in our password and hit login. Do I use Screen or Tmux during real engagements? I don't. I just use the built-in freaking terminal in Kali because I'm a noob and because I'm used to it. Sounds like the Roman thing to do. Just had to kill Kaido. Exactly. Our expired password, that's the one it gave us. Our new password, hack smarter. Well, I think it has to be longer. Yeah, sure. Reset password. All right, here we are. We can go ahead and go to our file ingest page. We're going to upload our loot that we got. We'll go to Tyler, TryHackMe, K2, Offensive Security, Active Directory, and then we have all of our files. We'll hit open, upload, close. It's going to take a little bit to ingest, and while it's ingesting, we can go ahead and get CLI access as the user that we compromised using something like evil winrm. So we can do evil winrm, and we'll do the user rbud. Don't think we need the @k2.thm. I don't think. Maybe we do. Our password of this. Okay, that we do need to escape it now, it looks like. And -I for IP, k2.thm. Beautiful. And we have access now with evil winrm. So we can do like who am I priv, see if we are in any interesting groups. Actually, that would be net user rbud domain. We are an IT staff 2 and domain user, so we might be able to do something with that. Can we get the flag? I don't remember at what point in time we get the flag. We have notes here, so that might be helpful to look at as well. We have notes and notes to James, so let's check those out. We have type notes.txt. Note was sent, and James has already performed the required action. They've informed me that they kept the base password the same. They just added 2 more characters to meet the criteria. It is easier for James to remember it that way. Well, good job, James. James' password meets the criteria pending give James remote access. So let's look at our note to James.txt. Okay. Hello, James. Your password, RockYou, was found to only contain alphabetical characters. I have removed your remote access for now. So even if we have his password, we don't have remote access. At the very least, adhere to the new password policy. Length of password must be in between 6 to 12 characters. It must include at least one special character. It must include at least one number between the range of 0 and 999. Okay, let's think about this for a second. We'll include our policy there, right? So we have James password policy. So this machine is very clearly leading us to brute force or figure out what James' password is. And the information we have is it's RockU. Includes RockU, right? So it must be between 6 and 12 characters long, which technically this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the RockU fits that. And it must include at least one special character. So it could be like RockU like that or RockU like that. Must include at least one number between the ranges of 0 and 99. So we could have numbers on the front end and numbers on the back end. So this live stream is a key to solve Season 6 machine cicada on Hack the Box. Just spawned it yesterday, and everything explained here is gem. Hey, thank you. I haven't done the machine. I'll have to do cicada and see what I think of it. But you can see we need to create a custom password list. And let me ask you guys, once again, those of you watching in the live stream, what are some ways to do this? Do you have any ideas? This took me a very long time to get the syntax right, at least the way I chose to do it. I know my friend Bob, if he's still watching, he ended up creating a Python script, and I ended up using John the Ripper with a custom password rule. And I'll show you how I did that. But all the sources I found, and maybe I just suck at Googling, I couldn't find a good source that explains how to create the custom password rules in John that would meet what I'm looking for. There's even a TryHackMe room that talks about custom rules, but it misexplained at least an AZ part. If you read that room, you'll see what I'm talking about. At least I think it misexplained it. Maybe I misinterpreted it, but that's what threw me off for the longest time. And I think I eventually just looked at the official John documentation and kind of waded through some rather outdated explanations and figured it out that way. But we can use John the Ripper to make a custom password list with RockU. Yeah, Bob said, yep, gave up on using John the Ripper, not used to it. I almost gave up as well, but I did eventually get it to work. So we can rename this. We'll just call this Evil Win RM, and we'll open a new tab. We'll call this Terminal, and we need to locate John config, which it's in apparently a few different spots. I think it's a noob question. Which config do you think it's using? Probably the Etsy one. I don't know. I guess we'll try the Etsy one and see if that's the right one. So we can copy this and we'll do, actually it's probably user share, I bet. It's probably that one. I think it's that one. Mouse pad, just so it's a little bit easier to read. And here's our John the Ripper config. Now we can add our password rule really anywhere in here. If we type like rules, we can see other rules. Maybe. Yeah, like here's different rules right here. A drop all rule for even faster single mode, blah, blah. Let me zoom in. We are going to make a custom rule. All right. Now we can follow the syntax of what we see here to name the rule. So we'll go ahead and do that. List rules just like them. And we'll call this, I don't know, Hack Smarter. Maybe. That sounds like a good rule for it. Now, when it comes to John the Ripper, there's a few keys, a few little hints that you need to keep in mind. Caret key, I hope I'm saying this right. You know, I should probably fact check myself. I believe caret key means to prepend to our word, and the $sign means to append to the end of the word, but I'm second guessing myself. John the Ripper custom rules syntax. Okay, here we go. The caret key appends a character or number to a word, so it puts it on the end, or the $sign, and the caret key prepends, which means puts it at the beginning. So $sign at the end, caret key beginning. $sign N, caret key beginning, $N. Okay. So if we look at our rules here, this is kind of what it could look like. Numbers and special character and numbers with RockU in the beginning. So if we look at this prepend, so put at the beginning, we can do our prepend rules first. So our first rule that we want to do is any number between 0 and 9, because if we look at the password policy, it says at least one number between the ranges of 0 and 999. So we'll have to make this a few different times. So our first rule could just be one number, would be totally fine. And then we could also say, hey, some special characters, and we'll just give a few common special characters and hope it's one of these. Some special characters there, right? Now we need to kind of repeat this again, but we know it might be more than one number. So we want to add another number here. Again, 0 to 9, and prepend the special character. And we'll do it one more time, because remember it said 0 to 999, so it could have a series of 3 numbers on the end, like so. So that will prepend all of those on, and now we have to do something very similar, but we're going to change them all to $signs to append it onto the end, because it might be on the end instead of on the beginning. So we'll do that. We'll just change all of these to $signs now. I'm sure I'm probably screwing this up too, so we'll see what happens. All right, let me look at this syntax. Prepend, 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 and then append, append, append. If they mess up the order, it's really going to screw me up, because technically it could also be special character first and then numbers, but we're just going to go with this because we could definitely overcomplicate it, and we'll just hope that this works. Did I not open this as sudo? I must not have. All right. Can I save? No, I can't. All right. Sudo mousepad user share john.conf. Yeah, YOLO. I don't care if I'm using the root account. So technically, I'm pretty sure we can add these rules wherever we want. Like so. All right. Yo, hi from Network Chuck. Oh, like you were watching, you saw me in Network Chuck. Hello. Good to have you here. I thought you were saying you were Network Chuck for a second. All right, let's give this a shot. I'm sure I screwed something up, but that's the beauty of learning, right? I think it's John -- word list. We don't have a word list. Can we just do word? You know, screw it. We'll do nano word password base.text RockU. All right. I wonder if you can just do word. I've just always done it as a word list. So we're just going to do word list, even though our word list only has one word in it. So password that rules. So we created our rule. We called it hack smarter, I think. And now minimum length was what? So between 6 and 12. So we're going to do minimum length of 6, max length of 12. And we'll just see if it works before I even save it to a file. I should probably add an equal sign. Okay. So apparently it was an Etsy John conf that we had to do that. Not user share. Freaking noob, Tyler. Come on, dude. All right. Well, let's go ahead and grab our rule now from the wrong freaking config that I edited because I'm a genius. And we'll look for hack smarter. There's our rule. Copy our rule there. And we will do sudo Etsy john.conf, but not just sudo because that's not going to do anything. We kind of need to open it with a file. And there we go. We'll just pick a random spot like here. Go ahead and save it. I think I saved it. Yep, I did. All right. Let's try again. Invalid rule in null at line 155. The frick does that mean? I don't know. All right. This is probably why Bob did not use this at line 155. Bro, I didn't even set that. Oh, shoot. Did I put this in the middle of other stuff? Okay. Where's the other rules at? Okay, here's some rules. Let's instead put our rule there. Ah, okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So we at least have it working, and we will save this to custom passwords.txt. Okay. So far, so good. So we have our custom passwords.txt. And if we go back to curbrute, we have the brute user. Brute force a single user's password from a word list. Who are we attacking again? James? What was James? J bold. All right. Let's give it a shot. So curbrute, brute user. All right, we need to give it our flag. So we'll do dc k2 server.k2.thm and our domain of k2.thm and our password list of custom password list and jbold as our username. And we did it. Hashtag 8RockU. All right, let's go over to this. James password. But remember, it said that he doesn't have remote access. But let's pause here. We have our bud, who's pwned, and J bold, who's also pwned. And we haven't even looked at BloodHound. So let's go to explore. And who did I say we have pwned? I get these guys' names confused, or ladies. R.bud is the one that we actually have remote access on right now, right? R.bud. So let's see R.bud real quick. What information do we have about them? They are a member of the groups we already saw, right? So they are a member of IT staff too, is probably the most interesting. Remote management users is what allows us to win RM. We have domain users. We have IT staff though, that's interesting. Let's look at IT staff. And it can't really do much of anything. It's just controlled by a bunch of other people. So not helpful to us. Let's really quickly check out J bold. What does J bold have? So J bold is a member of domain users, and IT staff 1. So if we click IT staff 1, we can see, is it outbound object control? Ooh. This is the beauty of BloodHound. So we can see IT staff 1 has something called GenericAll privileges over J Smith. GenericAll means we can kind of do whatever we want. We can reset their passwords and things like that, but we likely cannot actually get a session as this user because they don't have remote access. And we can test that right now. If we do evil win rm/u as J bold/p as this password right here. Whoa. /I as k2.thm. Apparently escaped that. Anyone know of another tool that helps with password mutation? I'm absolutely awful at it. I'm awful at it too. But I can tell you, doing pen testing, I never actually have to do password mutation for what it's worth. You guys would be surprised how often an internal pen test, you can just spray summer 2024 and you just got access to 3 accounts. Yeah, we're not going to be able to authenticate as J-Bold. We can try this as well. Make sure I didn't screw up his password. But remember, the note said that he got his access revoked, and it was still on the to-do list to give him remote access back. And he, as far as we can see, never got his remote access back. And it's just stuck on connecting. But let's go back over at this. It has GenericAll, and here is the beauty of BloodHound. It even gives us abuse information. So we're on Linux abuse. Scroll in so you guys can see this a little bit. It says full control of a user allows you to modify properties of the user to perform a targeted Kerberos attack, and also grants the ability to reset the password of the user without knowing the current one. I think that's probably going to be our best bet. It says, use Samba's net tool to change the user's password. The credentials can be supplied in clear text or prompted interactively if omitted from the command line. The new password will be prompted if omitted from the command line. It's also be done with pass the hash using that. We can use shadow credentials. Well, let's just, script kiddie our way from BloodHound. Copy that. Open up our tab here. And we have this. So net RPC password, our target user is j.bold. His new password is going to be hacksmarter123. And then our controlled user, so k2.thm. Our controlled user is, not jbold. Jbold's our controlled user. Come on, Tyler. We're trying to reset the password to the Smith person. J Smith is who we want to get. So this would actually be J Smith. Right? Yeah. Okay. So change J Smith's password to hacksmarter123 using jbold and jbold's password. Like so. And then our server is k2server.k2.thm. And I should probably make sure my machine's not going to go to bed. And it's not. Okay, cool. And there is our syntax and there is our command. We'll go ahead and copy that. Jump back over to our terminal here. You can see this failed because jbold doesn't have remote access. We might be able to do it this way. Just literally copying what BloodHound told us to do. Hit enter, cross our fingers. We didn't get an error. So that's a good sign. Let's try evil WinRM now. As the user, J Smith, which the password hacksmarter123 at ik2.thm. And we successfully reset his password. If we CD over to desktop, you can see we have user.txt right there, but I'm not going to show you the flag. You can do that yourself. So what is the user flag? Well, we can get that information right now. What are the usernames found on the server? We can go ahead and grab those usernames just by backing out two directories to our users. Doing dir, and we have jbold, jsmith, and rbud. So we can copy that. Users on the system. Right, jbold, jsmith, and rbud. And that would answer this question. And now we need to get the root flag and the administrator's NTLM hash. Well, we have our user that we just compromised, jsmith. So let's go back over to BloodHound, and we can actually mark him as pwned, like you've been pwned, homie. All right, and if we look at J Smith, what information does he have? What member is he of? Okay, if we scroll out here. So if you know Active Directory, there's one group that should stand out to you guys. What group do you think that is? Over in chat. What group do you think we should dig into more? I'm out of water. I'm talking too much. We'll have to take a water break pretty soon. Anyone know? Bueller? Yeah, backup operator. You got it, Abel. You're right. So we could Google each one of these, but backup operator should stand out to you. We can just look at this backup operator right here. And let's just see general. What does it say? Groups in Active Directory, blah, blah. Let's go to abuse. No abuse is necessary. This edge simply indicates that a principal belongs to a security group. Well, it's an interesting security group. If we just go ahead and Google like backup operators, Privesk maybe. We'll click this first link. Backup operators is a default security group in AD. Members of the backup operators can back up and restore all files on a computer, regardless of the permissions that protect those files. Backup operators can also log onto and shut down the computer. This group can't be renamed, delete, blah, blah, blah. By default, this has no members, and it can perform backup and restore operations on domain controller. Ah, so we can extract the SAM and system security databases and get some hashes, hopefully. And this blog actually walks us through how to do that. Jeez. Sneeze came out of nowhere. But look, we literally tells us how to do this, so let's give this a shot ourselves. We will do this. See if that works. And this is going to copy the salmon system hives. With these, we can use these together to get all of the hashes of the users and likely do a pass the hash attack and log in as an administrator. And this could be something you see on something like the OSCP. So once again, lean into some of these Active Directory attacks. The keywords to keep in mind is backup operator. If you see that group, know that you can use it. It's less important to know specifically how to exploit backup operators because you always have access to Google. It's more important to be able to recognize these patterns and these groups and these systems in Active Directory that you might be able to pwn. Yeah, you're exactly right, MK. Download them straight to Kali and run Impacket Secrets Dump. We'll give that a shot. Oh, so Audrey in a Ready Set Exploit. First of all, if you guys don't realize it, when you see Ready Set Exploit talk, he is the creator of all of these machines. So once again, hats off. He said, fun fact, J. Smith was originally not supposed to have WinRM access either. The goal was to exploit backup operators remotely, but there was connection issues due to VPN latency. Ah, gotcha. Well, I'm glad, I'm glad he has access. All right. So we have this. Now they're transferring it this way by, they set up a share, an SMB share, and they're just transferring it to the share. We can do it a little bit easier since we have WinRM access. We should just be able to do download, C, Windows, tasks, SAM. And that's the beauty of Evil WinRM. We don't need to set up any special file transferring or sharing. We can literally download files to our host computer with Evil WinRM. So we'll do that again. Download C, Windows, tasks, system. That one might take a little bit longer to download. While that downloads, you can see this. We can then use Impacket Secrets Dump to extract the local administrator credentials for the host. And that's exactly what we are going to try to do. You can see our SAM file there. Impacket Secrets Dump. Oh, cool. It is in my path. Beautiful. So that should work. Told you it might take a little bit. Might be a good time for the water break I was talking about, but we'll let it do its thing. Now, if you don't have access to WinRM, there's a variety of ways you can transfer files. CertUtil, I believe you can transfer files back and forth with that, but you can also just set up an SMB share, usually with version 2. There's a lot of videos and a lot of just Googling that you can do in order to set up that file transferring methods. If you're studying for something like the OSCP, at least when I did the OSCP, but this would have been back in 2021, but I've heard it's better now. But even back then, they had a whole section on transferring files between Linux and Linux, Linux and Windows, Windows and Linux. So you should have a variety of tools at your disposal. You never know when one tool you're relying on isn't going to work. But in this case, we have WinRM or Evil WinRM, and Evil WinRM is super helpful to just download and transfer files in this way. But apparently, it is going to take a while. I'm curious, like, how would we abuse this remotely? Here we go. So this, it looks like, was Ready Set Exploit's original plan. If the user is unable to interactively log into the domain controller, we can still extract the SAM database remotely using a patch version of the Impacket reg.py tool. So if you are still here, Ready Set Exploit, was this like the the original plan, since you said they weren't going to have remote access? Or is there a different way of doing that you had in mind? Oh my goodness, this is taking forever. 43%. We're getting closer. In the meantime, I guess we can read on this a little bit more because I've never done this remotely. Most recent impact at all. So would you have to set up the share first? It looks like possibly. Yeah, so you'd have to set up your share and then send it over to them. See abuse. Backup operators. AD exploit remotely. See if there's any interesting blogs on this while we wait for our stuff to download. It's getting there. All right, backup operators. Blah, blah, this pass through. Okay, so it's just explaining them. So it looks like this is for full access to the account because they're using PowerShell and stuff to do it. Yeah, so they're setting up the share. Execute the attack. Oh, no, it is doing it this way. Ah, I see. So I think that is the way that you would do it remotely. If we didn't have WinRM access, you would do exactly this. You would set up your share with Impacket SMB server. And then you would run that script that we were just looking at, that reg.py. We would pass in the jsmith user, jsmith's password, and this would be the k2server.k2.thm. Backup would be fine. Or whatever file you're trying to get there. This would be we'd want the SAM and security stuff. And then we'd send it over to our SMB share. All right? I think we're almost done, ladies and gentlemen. We are at 86%. I am at 2 hours and 20 minutes of talking, which is amazing. And we're not even done. I plan on going through all 3 of these machines tonight. If my voice doesn't give out to me, make sure I'm covering this. We had our user flag, basically. I'm just not going to show it to you. We have all the usernames, right? Jbold, JSmith, and rbud. We have them all compromised right now as well. The root flag and the administrator NTLM hash. We should probably type in our passwords too. So like our Jbold password, we know is RockU. Right? Might be helpful. That might come up later. JSmith password was... Or was it rbud? Here we go. rbud's password was this one. And JSmith, we set his password, so that's not going to be super helpful for us right now. Hey, download successful. Beautiful. If we ls, we do have SAM and system files. And if we go back to the original blog that we were looking at, we have this. Impacket, secrets, dump, SAM, system, local. Boom. And we just dump their hashes. The administrator hash is going to be the most important one to us. And we'll say admin hash right there. His NTLM hash is right here, I believe. That's another thing that always confuses me. I often forget which one's the pass the hash NTLM one, but I believe it's this one right here. And now we should be able to pass the hash with evil WinRM, actually. We'll do the user administrator. To pass the hash, it's an uppercase H, and we're going to just paste in our hash there, -I to k2server.k2.thm. Fingers crossed that we get connected. And we are in. Now, if we back out to our desktop, there we have the root.txt. I'm, of course, not going to get it for you, but you can do type root.txt, and you will get the root flag. So let's go back to our questions. We answered that one. We answered that one. We have the root flag, and we have the administrator's NTLM hash, which is right there. So with that, we have successfully completed task 2. We have made it into the middle camp. And if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, hey, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for video 3, where we finally climb to the summit. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.